Good afternoon, Aston Martin.
Speak to a technician just for a bit of advice with it. So here it is, the day where we finally collect the Aston, where it might look now like a complete car. Yes, there is a few faults here and there which we had when we actually went to go and drop it off, but I'm hoping to sort them today as well. Let's go and see what it looks like now with the painted bonnet and the bumper. This is going to be so sick. Rebuilding a crash-damaged Aston Martin has been far from easy, but I was willing to take that risk. Finding the parts has been hard, £5,880.13, but replacing that dashboard has been next level. But I'm hoping in today's video we can get it one step closer for it to be finally put back on the road for real. And here we have one black bumper. It does look a lot better. Oh, and the bonnet's already on. It's wow. Oh, it looks so much different already. As I still had a lot of fitting up to do, I got the bumper, bolted it up to the car with a few bolts, and got it back to the unit. And we are back at the unit. You may notice that Aston isn't quite complete just yet. It's missing the headlights and the front bumper, which is over there, but they are all painted and ready to go on. I just didn't want to reveal it this early. But the black paint is now making the Aston look so much more complete. It has sat for a few weeks and it is insanely dusty right now, but I'm sure after a good clean up, it's going to look amazing. But the bonnet and the bumper to be painted, of course, wasn't free. This cost £800, bringing the total cost of repairs so far to £16,504.54. And we have to do a massive shout out to Certified Tinter for popping down and tinting the windows on the Aston. That is so much better, in my opinion. But unfortunately, the cost for repairing this thing doesn't stop there. Now, if you remember in the last video, when we took this out on its first little drive to the body shop, we did have a few faults appear on the dashboard, one of them being an E-diff fault. E-diff, of course, meaning electronic differential. In order for the E-differential to work and to work properly, we need to have a fully charged battery because it uses a lot of power. Now, an E-diff does exactly what it says on the tin. It's electronically controlled and gets signals from the sensors on the wheels. It will then send different amount of torque to each wheel depending on oversteer or wheel spin, and it can do this in milliseconds. But in order for this to work, we need a full charge from the battery. Now, yes, when I bought the car, I did replace the battery for a brand new one, but since it's been sat here for such a long time, it's became discharged and I can't seem to get it to charge up again. So the fix, I think, was an obvious one. I needed to replace the old battery, which actually was a new battery, go back to the shop I bought it from and replace it for another new one. And I'm hoping now with a fully charged battery we should see no E-diff fault. Now I guess the only way to find out whether that's worked or not is to take this thing out on its first proper drive. But to take this out on its first proper drive, we need to build up the front end. So here it goes. So here's the moment that I've been waiting for such a long time. To see the Aston Martin from the outside looking complete. Like a full, undamaged Aston Martin Vantage. Now, we spent hours trying to line up panels in the last video and still couldn't get it 100% perfect. But now the car's painted, I'm going to spend that little bit more time to try and perfect the lines between the bumper, the headlights and the bonnet. So what you're seeing here is just a fraction of the time I spent trying to align this thing. And then of course there's the under tray to go on, the carbon bonnet vents, and then the Aston is just about done. This is literally one of those pinch yourself moments. It looks so good. What a difference a bonnet and a bumper can make. It looks absolutely mental. And the absolute most craziest thing about this, I own an Aston Martin. 3 years ago, I was working at an Indian restaurant, and now I managed to rebuild an Aston up to this point right now, and I'm about to take it on its first real proper drive. A normal regular person like myself has managed to wing his way into working his dream job and owning cars like this. If I can do it, I am pretty confident any one of you guys watching can. And on that note, because of the amount of hard work and money that has gone into this Aston Martin, I've treated myself to a little gift here. I'm going to be keeping the Aston at least for a while. So I treated myself to some lovely matte bond number plates. As cheesy as it may be, I love it. And of course these plates have been sorted by UMR Accessories as usual. But reality check, we're still not quite there yet. Whilst we can go out there and take it for its first real proper drive, it'll be short-lived because there's a few faults and a few more fixes that is going to require it being in the unit for a little bit longer than first expected. Now, a lot of crash damaged cars which have been repaired may look okay from the outside, but could contain a lot of unexpected faults. And sometimes the unexpected faults are the ones which hurt the most. Especially when you've gone out and bought a car which you believe to have been straight and no problems, and then taken it home to find out it is riddled with them. But there is a way around this, and it's called Car Vertical. Car Vertical works in over 20 different countries, and it gathers data from pretty much everywhere to ensure that you're buying a car that is as advertised. Check out this report that I did on a Porsche. Once you popped in your registration or VIN number, this is what you should expect. Now at the top of the report, we can see there's a green light to show that there's been no mileage fraud, a green light to show that it's never been recorded as stolen, but on this one there's an amber light to show that it's been involved in an accident, and there's a green light to show that there's been no outstanding finance on the car. When you scroll through the report, I can see when the car was registered, when the damage was detected, which was in 2017 in May, and then I can see that the car was then put for sale in June, so 1 month later after the damage was recorded. I can also see all the mileage records here, and the cool thing about Car Vertical, sometimes we can actually see the photos of the damage from when the car was auctioned off at the car crash auction website. And here's the Porsche, which looks, well, kind of worse for wear. And just to show you what a good report looks like, here's a report on my E46 M3. All green lights at the top of the report, all the mileage all lines up, and there's no report for it being damaged. So to check your car, a friend's car, or a car that you're potentially about to buy, click the link in the description box below, and with that link you're going to save yourself a fair bit of cash as well. Thanks, Car Vertical. So on the final diagnostic report, we're actually only showing 3 faults. One is with the 360 camera, which we can do a calibration for, and we'll get to that later in the video. The other is for the air conditioning, because we need gas in the air conditioning. And another one is for the electrical seat, something with the memory in the electric seat. But again, we can get to that. But that is not showing us why we have an airbag light on here. We have still EDIF unavailable, so maybe that battery hasn't fixed it. I guess we'll find out when we take it for a drive. And then this airbag light here, front right and also front left as well. And those airbag lights are the reason why this first drive will be short-lived. But we'll get to that later. For now, I need to take this on the road. So we're going to be trying to fix those lights later in the video, and they become a little trickier than first expected. But for now, let's try and get that EDIF light off. Okay, here we go. The budget James Bond is on the road. Right, this time we're going to take things steady from the off. Well, first off, no, we still got EDIF unavailable. I guess unavailable isn't as bad as broken, it's just unavailable. Maybe there's some calibration process that it needs. I'm not quite sure, but so far EDIF is still unavailable, so no electronic differential. Well, I think it's safe to let the Aston breathe. Let's see what she can do. Whoa! Standard exhaust system, and we've got crackles on downshifts. It's so fast! Now yes, it was fast, but the wheel alignment was all over the place. So I took it in to get laser aligned. So all the wheels were pointing in the right direction and the steering wheel was straight, which then meant I could calibrate the 360 cameras so they all worked properly. And there was also one more thing which actually fixed itself. I don't know how. It's a miracle. No more EDIF unavailable. The message has gone from the dashboard. We only have 2 more faults left. Now I'm actually thinking, was the EDIF unavailable because the gearbox wasn't warm enough? Now I've got a bit of temperature you can see in the gearbox. It's disappeared. Well, so far, bar a few warning lights on the dashboard, it seems we have a successful first drive of the Aston. What a car. Now from here it does look pretty cool, but there's a few things that I'm still not quite happy about. I'm still not sure about the panel fitment along this headlight. I'm pretty sure there's not meant to be a gap maybe this big between the bonnet and the headlight. I've tried everything to get it perfect. It's exactly the same on the other side. It's almost like the bonnet needs to come forward, but if the bonnet comes forward it'll be too close to the bumper, but we could move the bumper forward. But also if we move the bonnet forward, we're going to have a much bigger gap between the bumper, between the bonnet and the door, which just isn't going to look right. Hey Kev. So I think maybe we're going to have to look at another Aston Martin in the flesh just to check all the panel lines out. But other than that, we've only got 2 more faults left. And if you guys thought the Aston was expensive to repair, just look how much it's going to cost to run. I just put £130 in the fuel tank, and that is an estimate of 180 miles, 179 miles, and look, we have a full tank there. And we're back in the ramp. It was short-lived. Now, I won't be installing this badge on the front until this car is 100% ready for the road. And we're back to the fault that is stopping us from properly putting it on the road. These 2 warning lights. And these are caused by the tensioners in the front right seatbelt and the front left seatbelt. But there is something we can do about it. The way to cancel that out is to remove the seatbelts. We're going to send it to the airbag team. They're going to reset them, and then we can plug them all back in, and it'll be as safe, as sound as what it was when it left the factory. The only issue is, I thought the seatbelts were going to be fairly easy to get to, but I was pretty naive. It's an Aston Martin. I thought I could save a bit of time here by calling Aston Martin and asking the technicians how the seatbelts remove, as it's a lot easier when you know what you're doing.
Thank you for calling.
They must think I'm so annoying.
Hello, it's just on the phone with a customer at the moment. Can I get to give you a call back in about 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, that would be perfect. They never called back. So, it looks like the usual case. We're going at it alone. Removing seatbelts from a car is never normally difficult. It's just frustrating to get to as they're hidden behind a lot of panels. And it's exactly the same for the Aston. We've got to get the rear leather trim off, which requires us to remove, I guess, a lot of trim to get to it. There's bolts in the back, which hold the sort of parcel shelf to it. The trim on the roof lining is also holding the trim with the seatbelt on. There's a few Allen key bolts that we need to undo as well. And then to be able to pull the trim away from the side, I need to start taking off all this center section here. And all the bolts for this center section were hidden underneath the carpet. And there was a lot of them. And then I could just about pull the panel away just enough to access part of the seatbelt behind it. Here's the airbag plug that I'm going to carefully disconnect. And then there's one 13mm bolt holding the seat belt to the frame of the car. Now the second half of the seat belt is connected just by the side of the seat, but it's impossible to get to without actually removing the seat. So it looks like the seats are coming out again. And with the seats removed, I can then undo the other electrical connection for the airbag sensor and undo the final bolt to remove the full seat belt. And there they both are, finally out. So the interior of the Aston being complete didn't last that long, and neither did driving it. But now we have both seat belts out and ready to be shipped to the airbag team. Here you can see the tensioner on this side, which I don't think's actually been deployed, whereas on this side, you can see here it's a little bit shorter. So that side I would say has been deployed, but all this is going to be reset back to factory standards and everything, then we can pop them back in. That should take around 2 to 3 days, but look at the state of the interior. It was never going to be an easy job, was it? But whilst we wait a few days for those seatbelts to come back, there's a few things that we need to do. Now this isn't probably going to make much sense in this video, but you'll find out why we're doing this in the next one. But for now, I need to remove the calipers away from the car, all 4 of them. The Aston has brake wear sensors on every single corner, so we need to undo them as well as removing the brake lines and the caliper from the disc. And I don't know about you, but the Aston Martin sticker on the calipers just looks wrong that way round. This is the rear one. With all 4 calipers removed, I'm going to start stripping the hardware from them, so it's just a bare caliper. And Chris is going to start cleaning them up so they're nice and fresh with no dirt on them. And once they're all clean, we can then start rubbing them down with the Scotch pad. Once they're rubbed down, we begin masking them up, and you guys can sort of get the picture of what's going on here. And welcome to our Aston Martin registered spray booth. Time to mix the paint. Yes, white. You may think I've gone absolutely mad, but I've been mad since birth. This shouldn't be a surprise to you guys. So now we're adding the white paint, building up the layers. You may think white calipers would just get really dirty, but with the layer of ceramic coat, once they're dry, we should be able to prevent that and protect the calipers at the same time. Once we've built up a few layers, we let them set and dry, before then adding the lacquer.
Oh, yeah,
how's it going, Chris?
Brilliant, mate. This is how Aston Martin specify it.
And then once they're dry, I can then begin reassembling the calipers all back together with the brake pads. And then fit them back to the car. The job is done. 2 white calipers. The only thing that we're missing is the Aston Martin badge here, but that should be here tomorrow. Update, the stickers arrived and I put them on the way that I think they should go on, with the Aston Martin always facing inside the wheel. The same for the back one. But yes, it's brave, but this will all make sense in the next video, trust me. I've not bled the brakes or anything just yet, but one thing I did want to do is just put the wheel on, just to see what they'd look like behind the wheel, because I know it's going to look absolutely mental. Yeah, man. That looks absolutely mental. But yes, as I said, it will all make sense in the next video. But I don't know what you guys think. People are a little bit too reserved, especially in the UK, when it comes to modifying or customizing your own car. Why not modify the car the way you want it? Especially as I'm going to be keeping this for at least a short amount of time, or maybe a long amount of time. I still don't know. But I'm going to leave it right there on this video, and all will be revealed in the next video on the Aston Martin. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.